Hello, this is Miss Schrader. Today we are going to be comparing some things. We're going to be talking about Greek democracy, American democracy, and the Democratic Party of the United States. My students, you'll need between 7 and 10 notes by the time you're done. So I want you to give me 7 to 10 sentences telling me about the different things that we're going to be talking about. Okay, this is a 19th century painting of what they imagine Greek democracy looked like, so it's kind of romanticized. The basic idea with Greek democracy was that any adult male landowner could become a citizen, and only the adult male landowner citizens could vote. So that does limit it quite a bit on who gets to vote. These are people who they don't have to hold down a job every day. They go into the assembly every day and they vote on the laws. If you are not an adult male landowner citizen, you don't get a say in the laws. The word democracy comes from two Greek words that mean people, demos, and rule, kratos. Democracy is the idea that the citizens of a country should take an active role in the government of their country and manage it directly or through elected representatives. And this compares with a monarchy in which there is a king. A king normally inherits the power from their father or their uncle or something. And normally, a king, one person, has all the power. In the year 507 BC or BCE, the Athenian leader Cleistocene introduced the idea of democracy in Athens. In the system, Greek citizens were to vote on the laws, but only adult males who owned land and whose parents had been citizens and were of the upper classes were citizens. These men went every day to the assembly to vote on the laws. This meant that they knew they didn't need to go to jobs because they had people working for them. Now, this is a bust of Pleistocene, and it appears to have been done close to his lifetime, so it might be what he actually looked like. The problem with democracy is that you have to get everybody who's a citizen coming in to agree on the laws, and that takes an awful lot of work. The other problem deals with if there's an emergency, a crisis, then you're going to have people acting quickly and they have to talk fast, and people just don't normally do that. And this was the cause of the problems with the Greek democracy and with democracies in the modern era. Today, most successful pure democracies consist of very small populations. In 470 BCE, the leader Pericles quietly ended democracy because it was so difficult to get laws passed. And I just explained to you why. This is a bust of Pericles. Remember, a bust shows the head and shoulders. This was done in 430 BCE, so it was from close to his lifetime. It may be accurate. It's identified as Pericles. Pericles was also the leader of Greece during its golden age when they have all the great paintings and things like that. And he was the leader during the Peloponnesian Wars. And as I've mentioned, during wartime, it would be incredibly difficult to get things done unless you have one strong leader, like a king or someone like an army leader, the way Pericles was. Oh, and by the way, Pericles was the one responsible for the building of the Parthenon, which you can see right here. The Parthenon, of course, is the most famous building from ancient Greece. It's got those beautiful tall columns. Everybody really loves that. Um, Americans love this style of building. They think of it as being very much in the democratic style. And that's why we have a lot of our buildings, particularly our government buildings, built to look similar to the Parthenon. And you can see that from this building. This is the Supreme Court building in Washington, D.C., um, based exactly on the Parthenon. Got those tall columns. You got that triangular piece with the etchings in it. just the same concept. Today, as I mentioned, most pure democracies are going to be of small communities. It's really the only successful way to do it. Um, a lot of small towns have a pure democracy. You may belong to a club that is a democracy. But when you get to larger groups, it normally has to be changed a little bit. When the United States started in 1776, Americans loved the idea of a democracy where everybody has a say in the voting. And so they really wanted to make sure that they had this set up for everybody. The picture that you're looking at right now is of some people voting in the most recent presidential election. Um, it's considered to be a very, very American concept, and Americans really are very proud of it. The American government system is called a democratic republic. It is a democracy because all of its citizens get to vote. It is a republic because we vote for the people who then make the laws for us. Now, I'm a citizen, a United States citizen. You can be a citizen if you're born here or if you come over and you go through the steps to be naturalized. And those are the people who get to vote if we're over 21. But I have a job. I have to go to my job every day. I can't be going in and voting on the laws all the time. So what I do is I vote for someone who I trust to make the laws for me. Then later, if I don't like the laws that they make, I can vote them out of office. America's founders loved the idea of democracy. However, it's difficult to have a pure democracy when there is a large population and when many people need to work for a living. I know it sounds like I'm repeating myself, but this is really important stuff. Um, let's see. In the early United States, only white male citizens over the age of 21 who could own land could vote. Today, male and female citizens over the age of 18 can vote, and there are no land ownership restrictions or race limitations. You literally can go to the post office, get a registration to vote, and then next time you could vote. All right, one of the easiest ways to vote is by mail-in ballot, which you can see here. During the pandemic, the state of California decided to send all registered voters a mail-in ballot so you could vote from your house and mail it in. Mail-in ballots have actually been going on since the Civil War because obviously some people couldn't be at their home to vote, so their ballots were sent to them and they mailed them back. There are states in the United States where it is illegal to use a mail-in ballot unless you have a health issue of some sort. So it's actually a rather controversial issue about how safe it is, how reliable it is. But here in California, it's very easy to vote by mail. One of the United States' major political parties is the Democratic political party. Here you see the head of the Democratic political party at this time, Joe Biden, the president, on the left, and the vice president, Kamala Harris, on the right. And they're two of the most famous people who are in the Democratic Party today. The Democratic Party, with a capital D, is one of the major political parties of the United States. The name Democratic Party just sounds good. The party doesn't favor all citizens voting for all laws all the time. The Democratic Party normally favors higher taxes and more government service to the people. So they normally are in favor of increasing taxes and using the money to help people who need help. There are two major political parties in the United States today. The Democrats have as their symbol the donkey, and the Republicans have as their symbol the elephant. The names of the two parties actually have nothing to do with what they're in favor of. Originally, our government didn't want political parties. George Washington was very much against them because they cause infighting, he said, which is absolutely true because each side is wanting one thing or another thing, and they normally disagree. We aren't required to have only two political parties. There are actually more, but We normally just have the two main parties that people deal with. Okay, my students, we've been discussing Greek democracy, American democracy, and the American Democratic Party. What I want you to do is give me between 7 and 10 sentences on what they have in common, what their main points are, and what is different. And I hope you found this educational and enjoyable.